Howdy, howdy, Sudel here, and welcome to this video exploring whether LongBeards with great weapons have any good uses. Now, I've done a lot of testing with LongBeards with great weapons. They are definitely underperforming. They are very weak for their cost of 750 compared to other great weapon infantry in anywhere, pretty much. They're quite weak as it is, and especially really shows up next to your regular LongBeards, which are such a fantastic unit. So I had a few questions about, well, is the LongBeard with great weapons useful at all? And the answer is, yeah, they're always, of course, even weak units can be useful in certain situations. I've done, I made a rush build versus chaos, which I tried out, which had some LongBeards with great weapons. Even though they're not that good, they do have some of their benefits. And I was looking for the sort of the best use for the LongBeards with great weapons, and I think I found it. Now, I'll go over how I see the absolute best use for a LongBeard with great weapons, and obviously I would love to hear from you guys. I love comments, and I'd love to hear what you guys think as another very good use for LongBeards with great weapons. I mean, they're just not that great in infantry fights, but where can they be useful? And the one place they are actually quite useful is against single entities. And I'm going to demonstrate that. We're first going to fight Grimgor Ironhide, and I just want to show how they compare to just a regular LongBeard. Now, I know the regular LongBeards are a bit less costly, but we're going to show how well the LongBeards great ones perform. So very first, I want to actually show how Grimgor Ironhide does against just regular LongBeards, so you can sort of see that play out. Alright, start that battle. We'll get in there and fight. I want to make sure I get us around. Alright, get everyone fighting them, and we'll get those regular LongBeards fighting against Grimgor Iron. Oh, come on, guys. Get behind them. There we go. Alright. So, I mean, obviously I've done this before. You see Grimgor. Grimgor's, he's not the greatest lord. And, but he does have armor piercing, has very good weapon strength, melee expert. Where he's weak, he's kind of weak melee defense. But you can see he's doing a number on our LongBeards. And he's definitely winning that encounter, although our LongBeards are not doing completely awful. And we do have it on fast forward. It will take a little bit of time. LongBeards do have very good melee defense, and it'll take a bit for him to sort of work his way through them. Looks like we thought we were winning there for a second, so I mean, it is pretty close. There we go. So Grimgor has about 1,200 hit points left, and he won. Alright, so Grimgor won with 1,200 hit points left, 57 losses. Now let's go take a look at our LongBeards with great weapons. And again, this would seem rather obvious, but I just want to demonstrate it, that the LongBeards with great weapons are going to do better. They do have armor piercing. Grimgor has, I think he's 70 armor, 75 armor, so we'll just get them in there, start that battle, and we'll get that fight going. So, okay guys, let's get around him, get a good surround. Yeah, alright. So, you can see they're about dead even with Grimgor right now, but now the LongBeards great weapons do think they're winning, and Grimgor is kind of flashing between losing and even, so it's kind of going back and forth. But you can see the LongBeards great weapons doing pretty reasonably, and I hate it when they get stuck like this, but they should sort of get in behind him here a bit, and they're going to do reasonably well. So how much did Grimgor? Has 500 hit points left. They're really close, and they just barely beat him. Yeah, 230. So, and I actually ran that fight a few times, and they do pretty well. So we're going to end that battle, and So your Longbeards with great weapons are fairly decent against sort of single units, especially the more armor they have, the better that they do. So if we can take a look at the Lizardmen, I want to take another look at 2 more units, or 2 more battles, so that we can take a look. And where is that? There we go. Feral Bastiladon, here's I think a really good example. They have 140 armor, 250 weapon strength. They're 650. We're going to grab our regular Longbeards so we can see how they do against that Feral Bastiladon at the same price point. Again, those single entities, that's where your Longbeards with great weapons, I think they're sort of the best value. And they do actually get pretty good value, all things considered. So I think Grimgor, he's worth... we're not going to charge in because we have charge defense against large. I think Grimgor is worth 1350, and our Longbeard's worth 750. Beat him, so that's a pretty good value, I would say. And you know, this is going to take forever, but we want to see how this Feral Bastiladon is going to do against our regular Longbeards. Look like our regular Longbeards are winning that fight. I just wanted to let it resolve so we can take a look at how that looks, and then we'll go to the last use, which I think is the very best use or combination for Longbeards with great weapons. I think they are actually pretty outstanding in the role as it is. So, alright. See, our regular Longbeards are winning. They got what? So we're going to take a look at how many kills this Feral Bastiladon is getting. He's got 20 kills. I wish I could do like double fast forward, because I do so much testing. Someone needs to make a mod for like double or triple fast forward, or like double. I'd love to see a mod like that. So that Feral Bastiladon's got 29 kills, and we got about half health left, 64, a little less than half. It's going to end with 32-ish kills, around there. It keeps wavering. 54 minutes. So 54 minutes and 35 kills. And we have 2,900 left. Okay, so we'll end that. 54 minutes, 35 kills. And we'll grab our Longbeards with great weapons. Start the battle. And we'll just get it going, just so I can demonstrate exactly how this looks, so you can see it, because there's been so much Longbeard testing, Longbeards with great weapon testing, where they've performed so poorly. It's just kind of nice to see them do well. Alright, they have charge defense against large, which is excellent. Okay, the Bastiladon comes in, and we'll just get that fight going. And the other fight, I went all the way down to 54 minutes. We'll see how far this goes. 54 minutes and 35 kills the Bastiladon got, something like that. But you can see they're starting to chew through them quite nicely now, which is you know, really good. Bastiladon's what? It's got 12 kills. So this is that single entity models. The Longbeards with great weapons do actually pretty well, and they don't have to worry about, like, this thing causes fear and terror, and they're immune to psychology, so they don't have to worry about fear and terror. So only got 13 instead of 35. The battle went to 57 minutes instead of 54, and these Longbeards with great weapons have a ton of health left. And these Feral Bastiladons are 650, these are 750, so a very, very good value, actually, Longbeards with great weapons versus Feral Bastiladons. They might even pull extra value over units like Slayers. I don't know, but it's actually pretty darn good. So we'll end that, quit the battle, and we'll show where I think the absolute best use for a Longbeards with great weapons are. So, you know, you may want to bring 1 or 2 into your army as your sort of your second line, not your front line for engaging. To engage if you're going to, if you know you're going to have factions that have large units with a lot of armor, like, you know, like a Ragnarok spiders or these types of things. So I think we'll go here. I'm going to grab Kropgar, and we're going to put him on Grimlock. I just want to get rid of his abilities, and he's kind of clocking in at 2200. Now what I want to do is show again where I think the absolute best use of a Longbeard with great weapons are. and that is as a personal bodyguard for your lords. Now, the only lord that doesn't need that can't make full use of the Longbeards with great weapons as a personal bodyguard is Ungrim Iron Fist, because he's unbreakable. But these guys, Longbeards with great weapons, they're immune to psychology, so anything that's beating up your lord isn't just going to frighten them away. Plus, they have that encourage aura. So let's go and take a look at what that looks like when we're fighting Kroq-Gar on Grimlock. And they have charge defense against large. So setting up your lord with the Longbeards with great weapons as your lord's personal bodyguard, you know, to change later, and then, you know, you set your lord up right in the middle, you know, just like that. You can even, yeah, set them back a little bit. But the idea being, I'm going to set them up together as a locked group so that they move together, and anyone who attacks your lord is going to have to get through your Longbeards with great weapons. You can do this with miners, and you can do this with Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. The beauty of Longbeards with great weapons is that they are immune to psychology, so they're not going to get terrified away. So we're just going to sit them like that, and start that fight. Okay, he's going to come in and attack our lord. Alright, so we're just going to go here and get fighting. Alright, and the beauty, where is it here? So you can see right here, our lord is encouraged by a nearby unit, which is our Longbeards with great weapons. And our lord is frightened by the enemy unit, that's -8, but it just cancels out. So our leadership for our lord is higher because our Longbeards with great weapons are nearby. So I'm just going to sort of fast forward that. But when you look at, I'll just go normal speed here. The way the mechanics work too is that when you put your lord with a group, if the enemy has sort of a cone attack, their damage is distributed between the things they're attacking. You know, so if I just have my Rune Lord all by himself, Kroq-Gar and Grimlock will absolutely demolish your lord. Like, it'll be a brutal arse whipping. Maybe I could show it after this, but your Rune Lord, this Rune Lord's on foot, is only 800, has pretty poor stats. Kroq-Gar on Grimlock will just absolutely demolish him. But because often your Rune Lord's going to be around other units, you know, you could use anything. You don't need to use Longbeards with great weapons, but is going to be around other units, he'll take less damage. The beauty of the Longbeards with great weapons is they do have charge defense against large, and they have that old Grumblers, which encourages everything else. Plus they have the armor piercing, because usually things that are going to be attacking your lord are going to have a lot of armor in general if they come to attack in the back. And at the very end of the match, I mean, you do have an extra unit with armor piercing, with good armor, and that does have the old Grumblers to help encourage units that are nearby, and they are immune to psychology. So I'll just fast forward that so we can see this battle resolve. But, you know, I mean, that's not too bad. Kroq-Gar here is worth 2,200. These guys are worth 1,550. I think it may be 2,100. We'll go take a look, but, you know, you see your lords at more than half health. Your Longbeards with great weapons are 2,400, you know, a little less than half health. The resolve's not too bad. And, you know, we end that battle. Look, we had 35 losses, and we're fighting Kroq-Gar and Grimlock, and who's completely awesome. Now, yeah, it's 2,200, and these two together are 1,550. So basically, you're looking at for 650 less gold. You know, your Rune Lord is going to be a little bit more effective, or anything that doesn't have immune to psychology or whatever, because you get sort of a bonus to your leadership from the Longbeards with great weapons. Now, you could do this with any lord. I just picked the Rune Lord because that is the weakest lord in combat, and I went up against Kroq-Gar and Grimlock because they're pretty awesome. But you know, you can do that. You can put them with Belegar. You can put them with Ungrim. Like Ungrim, you don't have to worry about boosting Ungrim's leadership, but you can help Ungrim not get hit as much if he's with Longbeards with great weapons. And you know, same with Grombrindle or Thorgrim, having a unit of Longbeards there to help get in the way is actually going to be pretty useful, and particularly when it comes to anything that you're going to be fighting. So I think you know, really, your Longbeards with great weapons, despite not being strong in terms of the pantheon of units in this game with great weapons, like armor piercing great weapon units, everything's better than them. I mean, which is really sad. You know, they underperform so much at 750 gold for their intended role as going up against heavily armored infantry, but where they still excel is as a personal bodyguard to your lords. And you could use Longbeards great weapons as a personal bodyguard for you know, for your runesmiths. If you have a double runesmith build, bring in 2 Longbeards with great weapons and get your runesmiths into the fight, you know, and your runesmith will be able to get a little bit more value, and your Longbeards with great weapons will be able to defend them from units, because units like will, when you get stuff like this onto the field, you know, the opponent will try and go after your runesmith. So if you have like a double runesmith, you know, you could easily match that up with a, you know, maybe if you have a build like you know, maybe you're going for a build to slow everyone down. Let's go, you know, where you want to use that flash bomb, and you get these guys. You want to just use your Rune of Wrath and Ruin. You're not too, maybe Hammer of Carrick draws on one. You know, you look at setting up a group like that. So, you know, so for you still have 6,800 gold to spend, but your leadership is well defended by your Longbeards with great weapons, and then you go and start to obviously build up your army. You know, you might want some kind of front line, and maybe a couple on the edges, a couple minor blasting charges. You want some sort of back line, you know, and then maybe some artillery, bang bang, you know, and there you got an army, you know, just sort of like that. And but your Longbeards with great weapons really are there to defend your heroes and to work with your heroes, and your heroes will be a lot more effective, because a lot of times what you actually end up doing with your heroes is you sort of keep your runesmiths back a little bit because you don't want them to get killed. But if they're always with a group of Longbeards, I mean, they can get in there and do some fighting, and if they start to get beat up a little bit, you can pull them back behind your Longbeards. Your Longbeards can sort of screen because they have a decent amount of mass, you know, and you know, that's something to definitely think about. So anyways, hope you found that interesting. For anyone who's was really wondering about a good use for Longbeards, it's not just a, you know, a token, you know, it's not like they're, you know, it's a token use in the terms of it's not that awful. Longbeards actually excel. Longbeards with great weapons actually excel in this role more so than, I would say, hammers, dwarf warriors with great weapons, or miners, in being a personal bodyguard for a lord or a hero. And it seems to be a pretty good use. You know, I've done a lot of testing with these guys, and I really like that ability, and the ability to be immune to psychology, to really be a good bodyguard for your lords, and to encourage your lords to give them a little bit extra leadership is not that bad. So anyways, I'd love to hear from you. I love comments. I would like to hear from anyone who has found some real nice uses for Longbeards with great weapons, like, you know, here and there. I mean, you're not going to bring, you know, 6 or 7 Longbeards with great weapons to a fight and do well against anybody, but, you know, 1 or 2 Longbeards with great weapons mixed into an army is certainly not going to be bad, and particularly if they're used to either go up against those single entity units and single entity large units, as well as being a personal bodyguard for your lords. I think you'll get a really good use out of them, and I actually quite like that possibility myself. So again, hope you found it interesting. Love to hear from you down in the comments, and I will see you soon.